one of the directors with American Income, um, which is the organization that handles union benefits here in Georgia, right? So we specialize in protecting the working class. So working class people, just like you and me, military retirees. I see some pictures that look like we've got some vets in here. Thank you for your service, right? Those are the groups of people that we specialize in providing benefits to that they own and control. Now, this, as I understand it, is an opportunity to educate just on the fundamentals of life insurance. And I hope my introduction for myself and the company that I represent is not taken as, necessarily an advertisement for my company. What I will say in directness is, like, life insurance fundamentally is good for you and good for your family. Like, we never know. We never know. We never know when we're going to get the call. We never know when we're going to become uninsurable, because that's absolutely a thing, meaning life insurance is a privilege. We never know really what the future holds. Now, within some kind of reason, and this will make sense to you guys as investors, we can influence our future a great deal, but we don't have ultimate control of it. You know what I mean? Otherwise, all the investors on here would be, you know what I mean? We'd be up there on, on Jeff Bezos' ship, or, I don't know, wherever, but like, we can influence it. And you guys are, just by the nature of your company and who you are and what you're working on, are influencers of your future, right? So I'll go over a few things here. The first is, like, the benefits of life insurance. And I think if you get yourself in a mind frame of, like, it's always going to benefit my family to have some kind of protection, it makes things a lot easier, because there's so many different types that it can get confusing, and there's debates between the types. And I'm a belief in protecting those things that I love, and the things that I love the most, and the things that I value the most on this world, on this planet, are my family. So I'll just go through a quick list of things, right? It provides protection financially. Insurance reduces the impact of loss that one bears at the passing of a loved one, right? Provides certainty. Now, you guys are in investments, right? Which implies, hey, there's a risk of loss. So there's a chance that you're going to not win when you invest, right? However, in life insurance, once a policy is issued, it's guaranteed to pay out within reason of some rules, like that are outliers, right? So for the most part, like, once your policy is issued, the company owes your family, or you, or however you structure your program, that money, right? It's not like playing the stock market. It's not like gambling in Vegas. It's not like any of those things. And I'm not likening those two things. I'm saying the risk of loss is much different in those environments, right? So once you, but a simple way to put it is, like, you're putting in pennies to return dollars, right? And that's how it is fundamentally. So again, it also shares the risk, right? So, like, the risk, as a father, I'm a father and a husband, the risk for me to protect my family would be everything that I earn, right? Well, I'm sharing this risk now with all the policyholders based on the pool of money that the companies that I'm insured through will now give to my family when something happens to me, right? So you mitigate the risk of yourself, and you maximize the output that you can provide financially for your loved ones, right? And also for yourself. There are vehicles that it becomes a living benefit for you as well. There's, also, it's the transfer of wealth. I'm sure you guys know about the Rockefellers, and the Rockefellers and many, many other families have gotten wealthy and grown their generational wealth, generation after generation after generation, on strategically placing life insurances, in force, right? So there are so many things that you can do with this, and it's really hard to find a negative to life insurance, right? Now there are debates about, because like, something we say jokingly in my office is like, hey, listen, what percentage of the market that you're serving is going to die? Right? So it's a very simple answer for us. Like, everybody's going to pass, right? And it's like, do you want to leave your family with burdens or with benefits? And it's a really, really simple answer for us as well, right? So there's so many ways, and we could talk about it for so long, about the different ways that making this responsible, selfless decision can impact your family, right? And I should say will impact your family, right? And so it's going to impact your family one of two ways. Either positively, when you make some decisions that are sacrificial, that are selfless, that are, that are responsible, or you don't make the decision, right? And that ends up costing your family not just money up front, but perhaps opportunity, right? I'll share a personal story. My dad didn't have much, but towards the end of his life, he held on to this little life insurance policy. And I chose to further my education a little bit more. I'd already graduated undergrad, right? And I chose to further my education a little bit more. I didn't have to work at McDonald's to pay my tuition. That life insurance paid for me to get my education. You know what I mean? That life insurance paid my car note. That life insurance helped me help my mom when he wasn't there to help her. You know what I mean? So it does so many things that we don't even think about. Well, I could put it to you like this. Anything that there's a cost to, it put gas in my tank, it put food in my belly, right? It kept a roof over my head, and it educated me, right? And I'm so glad that my father made that responsible decision many, many, many years ago. And it wasn't necessarily to make me rich, you know what I mean? But it's always on time. And I've been in this business now for coming up on a decade, servicing working class families. I've never, ever, not once had a family say, hey, I wish I had less of that. I wish I had put less into that bucket to protect my family. Like, when there's a claim, it's always, man, thank God I did it. If I could do it again, I would have done more. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we learn from that. And without being too long-winded, I'm sure, or I'm confident there are people of faith on this call. And my intention is not to make this necessarily about faith, but there are 8 times that the Bible brings up life insurance. Okay. And I'll read those off to you really quick. Proverbs, the book of wisdom, 13:22 says, a good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children, but a sinner's wealth is stored up for the righteous. 1 Timothy 5:8, anyone who does not provide for their relatives, and especially for their own household, has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Hebrews 13:5 and 6, keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have, because God said, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. So we say with confidence, the Lord is my helper and I will not be afraid. What can mere mortals do to me, right? And it goes on and on and on. There are 8 Bible verses, like I said. I'm not going to read the whole Bible to you guys, but I want to share those things that are very, very direct to insurance and providing for your family even when you're not here.
I got a question, Omar.
Sure.
I think it's a misconception sometimes when it comes to life insurance, when we hear a lot about the death benefits and, just hear the word benefits. Are there like any living benefits to life insurance? And if so, can you name a few?
Absolutely. A very simple way to put it is with many kinds of insurances, there's a cash value benefit. So it's almost like having, maybe equity in your home, right? Where you have a savings component that if anything were to happen to you, if you were to reach a tough time, you can pull that money out and use it. Like, it's liquid cash, it's yours. There are times when, like, if you lose your job, or if you become terminally ill, the cash value that you have stored in that policy, right, will continue to pay your policy, right, and protect your family. So there are so many. There's, like, I could go down the list of living benefits that are incorporated with life insurance. You know what I mean? And it's there are so many open debates, and there are so many there's so many different types of insurances, that, I'll be careful with, what I choose to speak on, and not for no reason other than it becomes a point of debate sometimes. But, like, there are benefits. There are actual living benefits that you can, save money, earn money, and grow money through life insurance as well. And you've heard this over and over again. There are different policies that are structured almost specifically for that. There are types that have become more and more popular over time. And to put in short, I really believe that you should have different types of policies for the different needs in your life. You know what I mean? And it's essentially having a portfolio, right? So the short answer is yes, there absolutely are living benefits, and we can't leverage them unless we have a policy. You know what I mean? And that's not meant to sound condescending. That's not meant to sound anything like that. But we pay for insurance, of course, with our money, the money that we earn, but we buy it really with our age and our health. Meaning, if we become unhealthy, we don't qualify for those benefits anymore, right? There are some final expense policies that'll allow certain things, but, like, for the most part, right, that is the rule of thumb. And the younger and the healthier you are, is the more that you get of it. So you get more protection.
What I would ask is, what are the benefits of getting life insurance when you're younger versus when you're older? But what are still the benefits of getting it when you're older?
Okay. There's never not a benefit to getting life insurance, right? The benefits of you getting it when you're younger means that you can have a bigger policy for cheap, right? The two main principles that life insurance runs on are your age and your health, or your risk. That's how the insurance company will determine your risk. Like, what is the risk to cover this person? Well, the older you get, the closer you are to death. So that's how risk is defined in the context of insurance, right? Well, also, if you skydive, if you've got a bad driving history, if you live an unhealthy life. So if you've been diagnosed with certain illnesses and take medications for, certain medications, if you abuse drugs or alcohol, right, that heightens the risk on how the company determines what they can protect your family with, right? Well, those are the determining factors, right? Well, the younger and the healthier you are, is the more of it you can get once you commit to it. Life insurance is billed in price per thousand. So every 1,000 that you have, there's a dollar amount attached to it. Well, the younger you are, right? Like, let's say there's a 20-year-old, lady who doesn't smoke, who exercises, right? And let's say there's another 20-year-old lady who does smoke, and she's overweight and has diabetes, right? Well, the policy for Lady B is going to be more, it's going to cost her more, and she'll get less coverage because she's more of a risk based on her lifestyle, right? And that's a simple way to look at it, based on her lifestyle. Well, let's take that healthy 20-year-old and keep them here, and let's take a healthy 30-year-old. Well, the 30-year-old is now a little bit more of a risk because they're a little closer to death, even though they live a healthy lifestyle, right? So now we compound that. If this 30-year-old or this, older person now does not live a healthy lifestyle, so their premiums may be a little bit more. They won't be able to be insured for as much, right? So that's a simple way to look at what insurance is going to cost you. I don't believe that there's a benefit to starting a policy when you get older. It's more of, and I want to word this the right way, because it's not like we should feel guilty if we start it at a later age. It's kind of like you know, it's kind of like if somebody becomes health conscious, or they find, spiritual education later on in life than somebody earlier in life, right? The value is still going to be there relative to when they find it. You know what I mean? And so, like, it's never a bad time is the point.
Gotcha. I want to I know there was a few questions in the chat. If anybody wants to unmute themselves or drop any questions that they may have for Omar, please feel free. Daniel did ask, what were the Bible verses again that you had mentioned?
I think the best Bible verse and my favorite is Proverbs 13:22. A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children, but a sinner's wealth is stored up for the righteous. So, a good man leaves an inheritance for his grandkids, or a good woman, you know what I mean? Plans for 2 generations, several generations, right? 1 Timothy 5:8. Anyone who does not provide for their relatives, and especially for their own household, has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Right? These are just some of my favorites. So, and like for those of you who are believers, like there's an app called YouVersion that is a Bible app for your phone. It's easy for me to read. I have it on my phone, on my tablet. So I usually read a proverb every day, and there's always something about planning and surrounding yourself with the right people and thinking of your family and staying away from the wrong people and staying away from negativity, staying away, you know what I mean? And so to find this in the book of wisdom, when I really started diving into Proverbs, was significant for me, particularly since I work in the industry. So, that's, I love that, what I do day in and day out to help and serve people is not just my work, but it's in alignment with my, with my faith. And it's really dope. So it makes what I do very, very rewarding. And with every person that I serve, it is my absolute intention to educate and to care for them and to love on them and ensure them as if they were my own family.
Yeah, I could definitely not only agree, but say that I admire that about you. Even before I even go back into the chat, just working with you, needing a job, going into your office, and you just showing me around and interviewing me, and like even after that interview, just letting me know, like, man, you got it. You just got to focus now. And learning things verbatim with you, especially with Stacy. What am I saying? Yeah. Was that his name?
Kelsey?
Kelsey.
Yeah.
My apologies, Kelsey.
Okay.
I would definitely say that. Why would I say that? Because even when you found out that I had a weapons charge on my record, on my, my report card, you didn't frown on me. You didn't look down upon me. You more so motivated me and pushed me and just reminded me that where I'm from doesn't make who I am and what I'm trying to do. And not only did you encourage me, but you also allowed me to be fortunate of living in Georgia and still practice without having the license and going to school still. Well, not going to school, but taking a test and fulfilling like what I had to do with still having that on my record and still having the faith that I was going to go to New York and take care of that. And I did. So I can say that I admire that about you because I was able to take that with me and continue running and do things that I needed to do for myself. So I really appreciate you, Omar.
Man, that's my pleasure, man. That makes me man, I'm so proud of who you've become and who you're becoming, man. So I'm so happy for you and your family, brother. So keep rocking, man. Keep rocking.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Corinne said, yes, I'm interested in infinite banking. Um, I don't know if she took that from like something that you was gathering and saying, but if you want to speak on that, what do you think she means? Or Corinne, what if you want to elaborate on that, so he can speak on it?
So
When you mentioned the Rockefellers, sorry, excuse me. So it's
um,
just a notation when you were talking about the Rockefellers.
yes, so that's the way that they leverage life insurance for their family and for their generations. Now, um, you know, that's a thing. So I'm careful to, I'm careful to speak on certain things like, infinite banking and going into too much depth about leveraging cash value, not because I don't believe in it. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. I really, really do believe in it. I believe in it a lot. I really believe, however, first, our mindset should be protecting our families against the inevitable in terms of priority before we start to venture in the investment component of it, which is something that we absolutely should do. We know that at some point we've got to protect our loved ones and we've got to take care of our responsibility for ourselves, right? It's kind of like the fingerprint that we leave on this planet, right? You don't want to leave your loved ones in debt. So that's where I really believe, those people who do not have even a basic policy should absolutely start with framing your mind and this is the right thing to do. You know what I mean? Like this is the responsible thing to do. And then then venturing into the creativity of it. You know what I mean? And again, like it's something I completely support, but I believe part of my responsibility is first protection, and that's a belief thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There are agents out there who will sell you anything that you ask for, right? And that ain't me, you know. Um, so I want to be clear with that respectfully, and that's that's where I stand, and that's, I believe, a responsible way to approach doing something like this. Like for instance, I meet with people every day who depend entirely on their employers' group benefits, the group benefits that their job provides. Well, if I don't have the right kind of conversation with them about what's ultimately going to happen, meaning at some point you may not be employed by who you're depending on protecting your family. And I'm talking about investments and creativity and the strategy that you have to have. Like, we are trying to sprint before we're crawling. You know what I mean? And in my, you know what I mean? In the way that I'm built, I gotta make sure the, first and second base are covered before we start hitting home runs. Does that make sense, guys?
Absolutely. It goes back to unlearning to relearn. Sometimes we just didn't learn the right process on how, I would say, to play the game of life. Um, and once have resources and, resources like you to be able to lean on and ask questions, and, dig in to get a better understanding, that's when things start to change because you're starting to execute and put in that work, right? It all starts with just asking those questions. Um, Corinne said, okay, I need a private consultation. I'm definitely going to tell Omar to drop all his information, so I can drop it in the Discord for you guys as well. Quizzy said, I know the minimum about life insurance. Please make this bare bones for me and others who are ignorant of the subject. Absolutely. I think you've been being very elementary with your delivery on life insurance. I would ask a question where it's like, what two questions? What are some questions that an unexperienced person that has nothing, no type of data in their mind of life insurance, what are some questions that they should be asking their life insurance? And I'll wait and I'll ask the second question.
So what are some questions that somebody who doesn't have a bunch of experience with insurance should be asking their agent?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think, you know, it's important to know, how long a policy will last, right? So that you can be responsible with planning. Now, what somebody who knows a little bit about insurance may say, well, oh man, that's a jab at term insurance. And it's actually not. You know, I believe in term insurance, right? There's a time in your life where term means that it will end at some point, is a simple way to look at what term insurance is, right? Well, the thing is nobody on this call knows when they're going to die, right? So
Right.
a term policy would absolutely benefit my wife and 4 children, right? Because term policies are typically cheaper, right? Or are always cheaper, right? And they protect you during your prime working years, right? While you're actively working and you have the most that you're generally responsible for in our life's timeline, right? Whole life, which is, you know, is a permanent, it lasts your whole life benefit, right? Lasts forever. So whenever you get that call, you know, hopefully at 100 years old, right? Or 99 years, however long, you know, long you want to live, right? That benefit will be there for your family, right? Now, you know, both kinds and the many kinds of insurances serve their purpose. I'll tell you how. I'll give you an example. One of my policyholders who I hold dear to my heart, beautiful, beautiful family, a mom's adult son was in a car accident. Now, this guy was in the military. He served his country, right? Well, not just did his military policy pay out, his SGLI, yeah. So there's the SGLI and the VGLI for retirees in the military, but also the benefits that his mom, or the insurance that his mom bought when he was a child before he went into the military. And his mom lives up, you know, a modest life. She's a dental assistant. You know what I mean? Doesn't have all the money. It gave her time to grieve. It gave her time to clear some of her debt. It gave her time to bury her son with the kind of dignity that she, you know, she never wanted to have to face, but, you know, the cards of life dealt something different. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that was a type of coverage that paid out in case of this situation, right? And it did benefit them. So setting aside, you know, these pennies or these a few dollars a week brought so much to this family when they were at such a critical moment in their life. You know what I mean? Such a critical season in their life. Mm-hmm. So it returned, you know, financially everything that it could have. So I said that to say that these different types of insurances will absolutely serve a purpose for you, but it's important to understand how and when and why, right? So that's what I would be asking my agent if I were new to this. Like, all right, how is this going to protect me, like specifically, okay? Mm-hmm. Is there a time limit on this? All right, is there a contingency on this regarding like how I pass and stuff like that? And the answer should be yeah, and he or she should not have any qualms about explaining and teaching why this is going to benefit you when, right?
Yeah.
Further, like there may be an aversion or there may be a reluctance to say, well, I don't want anything that's going to end. Again, I got to tell you, these policyholders who are ultimately paid by these term policies, their families get really big benefits, but they had no idea they were going to pass when they did. You know, I've been around long enough to bury classmates from high school, classmates from college, and those people thought they had tomorrow. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, you know, don't, I encourage you, don't be so limited in only only thinking, hey, listen, right? Like, I'm gonna live forever. That's just not what it is,
Yeah. Yeah, and I definitely see where you're going, where it's what I admire is, not downing term and still showing the benefits of term, where they're both great things, but making one aware of all benefits of both sides of it. You know what I'm saying? And I definitely see where where you was trying to take me there. I would ask to someone that's, new, and maybe they're talking to you or talking to whomever they're talking to, uh, and maybe they're staring at their premium and they're not knowing, like, hey, what should I do? Well, I wouldn't even associate it to the premium. What I would say is, how much would you say one should get in life insurance? I think that's like a question everybody kind of has.
Okay, so here's the thing. This answer, like how much should you get, how much insurance should you get, what I've learned is often influenced by our experience. Now, my belief is you should get as much as you can afford, right? And structure it in a way that you're not going to miss this. Meaning, if you get a flat tire, or if something happens, you're not going to drop your insurance policies because of this, right? That's where the premium should be, meaning what you pay monthly. In terms of planning, like if you have a family and you have kids, you want to plan for a year, 2 years, whenever your spouse can get up on their feet and get back to work, because that's a real thing. You know what I mean? But you should not feel bad if you can't protect them for 5 years, a decade. Something will always, because listen, every year is going to have birthdays. Every year is going to have Christmases. If you have a very, very simple way to look at it is, if you have 2 kids, how many lunches do you have to pack every day?
Every day, too.
Yeah. How many breakfasts do you have to make? Well, if you have a 3rd kid, right? Yeah. All of a sudden, this math, it multiplies. You see what I'm saying? Right? Well, it's the same thing. Like if you've got,
well, when talking about life insurance, if I'm popping up with new kids, it's gonna multiply, but the policy is gonna be much more cheaper still, because they're kids. They're babies.
No, that's not what I mean. You're right. So policies for kids are cheap because they're young.
Yeah.
I'm talking about protecting those kids. So if something happens,
absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? I still gotta be able to send them kids to school with lunch.
Yeah.
When I'm gone, right? I got it. So it's providing when I'm not here. So and that's how I believe we should think about our next generation, right?
Absolutely.
How can we make it? How can we stack the chips in their favor, right? That's what the wealthy have done for generations and generations. A huge part of that is the planning for when we know that we're not going to be here, leaving assets, right? This benefit, life insurance, the government can't touch it. It's not taxed, so what you qualify for, that's what your family's getting, so it's important that you're urgent and mindful with that as well. And I know this is kind of a tangent, but it is the financial asset that you should be using to leverage your legacy, to really, really grow and impact your legacy. Not that rinky-dink savings account. You can't save what you can insure. I'll say that again. You cannot save what you can insure. Okay? So, like, there's nothing bad about it. And what I believe and what we encounter the most in our business with prospective clients is them not taking it seriously enough. Them thinking that, tomorrow's coming. I'll do it later. I'm good. My job does so-and-so for me. Man, when oftentimes they're wrong. Like I think something that I always say and that I believe myself and I live by is like, what's what's too much to leave my kids? You know what I mean? Life insurance is the last love note that you leave your family.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Could I say, yeah, man, $50 a month is all I thought of you when I earn whatever. You know what I mean? So, and that's not a guilt trip. That's a very personal thing. It's like, we got to have a budget for everything. Like what we can't compromise putting, food in our fridge or, gas in our tank based on our life insurance, but we should always plan and we should always do our best. And that's a simple, simple, simple way to put it. Do your best for your family and for yourself.
Yeah, I would ask the professional about this one when we withdraw some of the cash valuable, uh, is it non-taxable? I think if it's a loan, well, I'll let the professional.
So look, I think the best thing to do, right, in regard, because there's so many different types of policies. So it's like, how you don't really talk about
Can I say
go ahead.
what I would say is personally talk to Omar, because Omar is not only that he's very professional, he's going to be very limited on saying certain things because it's a broad audience, right? So with him knowing you personally or your policy, he'll be able to like really give you a consultation basically. But go ahead, Omar, because I know you had something else in mind.
No, I mean, you actually answered it pretty well. That's essentially what I was going to say. Like, if it is something that you want to do, like, let's set up a one-on-one meeting. Our meetings are anywhere between, 15 minutes and a half hour. Like, if you've got something specific on your mind and you'd like to protect your family, like, I'm happy to help you. You know what I mean? And I'll answer any questions that you have then. But what I don't want to do is, there's an audience here. So I don't want a very specific question to be misunderstood by somebody else who may have something that may be a cousin to that question, but not the right answer. You see what I'm saying? And that exists in the different types and the different, how they're funded. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll be very, very mindful about that. But, anybody who wants to set up a meeting, I told Kev, I'm like, yo, whatever we need to do, we can set up times. I will make room in my schedule in between servicing the groups that we service to service you guys. That's my word.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely appreciate that as well. One thing that I would add to it that I was able to gather, even when you were speaking about term versus a little bit of hold, I know some questions coming in right now. What I was able to gather is like just relating it to the stock market. It's like hold is like buying shares. It's something that you own. You know what I'm saying? You own a piece of that company, right? Now, when buying term is sort of like options. It's like there's an expiration date to that. You can make money, you can leverage it, you can toss it, flip it, you know what I'm saying? But there's still an expiration to that you have to give that back. That's one thing that I was able to gather as well. And another thing I was able to gather is that I need to go and be more grateful and gracious to my mother for paying the life insurance that she passed off to me, that I almost stopped paying when I was 25. She had gave it to me and I was like, oh man. And she did it to all her kids. At 25, you guys take your own life insurance and you guys pay it. Where hearing your story with your father and the things that you was able to, have time for self and then, propel yourself. I'm seeing those benefits where it's like, let me give my mom even more flowers for doing something that she didn't even have a lot of knowledge of, but knew that it was something to do. So that's something that I was able to gather as well. I think we have another question here. If I had a previous life insurance policy and I stopped paying, obviously besides not being insured any longer, are there any reciprocations that can come with that? also, can I reapply for a new policy?
So the short answer is there are no other repercussions other than not being insured anymore. And that's the short answer. Yes, you absolutely can reapply. Whenever you reapply, it's going, depending on the time frame that it lapsed, because there are opportunities within a certain time frame that you can. And I don't want to get too technical with this. So I'm again, there are so many laws in life insurance, but within a certain time, you can recover that policy by paying back premium, right? But if you exceed that amount of time, you can't do it depending on the type of coverage and so on and so forth. So the short answer is you can reapply for the coverage and the face amount, however it will be at your current age and health.
Awesome. Gotcha. Awesome. And I'll add on to that question because I know you got to get back to your day. I know you got your little ones waiting on you. Even if you have a policy, can you continue to add to that policy? Or I wouldn't say add to that policy, get new policies. And what do you think about that?
Absolutely. I think, first of all, yes, you can. I believe you should insure yourself and your family, in congruent to the vision that you have for yourself and for your family, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, it should be like, yo, I want my kids to have a home to live in, or to each have their own home based on the sacrifice that I make and the time that I put in and the responsibilities and everything that I set aside for them. Or, I want my kids to be able to continue our family business, and that's going to require, they, pay this mortgage on the land and the farm, or, on the equipment, right? There are ways that you can plan for that and continue to do so based on what your vision is for your family, and that's something that you should, I believe is part of our responsibility in life is lifting as we climb and preparing our next generation. The most ignorant thing that I hear is, oh man, I had to figure it out myself, so I'm gonna let my kid figure it out. Like, that blows my mind, but it's a common thought, unfortunately. And it's like, yo, do you hate your kids or do you hate yourself? Like, what? When I think about how, how selfish a phrase that is, there's value in your kids learning. There's value in education altogether. Like, I want my kids, my sons and my daughters, I got two of each. I want them to learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them to suffer, though. You know what I mean? And I don't want them to have to resort to things that they should not have to if I have some control over it.
Absolutely.
And I think people kind of muddy that space of, yo, you can still learn and you can still overcome adversity, but you don't have to starve or, shake a cup on the side of the highway in order to do it. No, you know what I mean? Like, that ain't it. And that will never, ever be it. So like, you prepare for your family, and you never know when something's going to happen. You never know if somebody, may become crippled in an accident. You never know if they're going to have the opportunities that you have. So you prepare for it. Yeah, that's your responsibility. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of this stuff is, personal philosophy and, beliefs, but shit, like, who wants to be a terrible parent? Like, I don't know. It's just that's broken to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I'm going to share that with you. And hopefully if anybody has that mindset, you abandon it. And I embarrassed you out of that mindset. Like, cause that's wrong. You know what I mean? It's wrong.
I definitely agree. And I would say that, you mentioned that even if you can't get it, even for a few years, a year, 10 months, I will also add to that where it's like, especially the men in the households, where even if, you may be going through some hardships or anything, you don't have to always think of the whole family, right? Because that's what you're doing. But you can look out for your children first. You can look out for your children and your wife first, and then say, hey, I'm going to do what I need to do for me as soon as I get myself together, right? And that's the mindset of, you know, making sure what I'll say it like this. Life insurance to me, personally to me, and yes, it's with my belief system and everything, just like Omar said on our alignment. But to me personally, life insurance is literally like what I'm doing in the stock market. It's a selfless thing that I'm doing, right? Like my shares and certain companies, I'm not planning to sell. Those are for my children. My Bitcoin is for my children, right? Because I have the understanding of, you know, planting seeds and making sure that I do things so when I'm not no longer here, I know for a fact my kids are well. They're gonna have to make the choices that they're gonna have to make, right? And I'm gonna leave things in my will. And you can always structure things where it's like, hey, you know, this has to be met or this needs to be met, where it's like not to say that you have some type of control, but to make sure that they're developing correctly, because we all know as you get wiser and as of age, you see life differently, right? So it's just setting things in there where now they'll appreciate you more when they turn that age and they can touch something and be like, wow, I'm glad I didn't do that at this age and this was set in place for me, right? So I would definitely say that that's how I look at life insurance. And I don't like life insurance. I'm in love with life insurance, not only through the death benefits that when I'm not here, but also the living benefits that are there. And I will definitely encourage everyone, right? I'm not a financial advisor, but I will give you some advice, some personal advice, whereas reach out to Omar or anyone that you may think that you may want. But I know personally that I work for this man, and not only that I work for him and he helped develop me in life insurance, but he also is structured policies for me and making sure, you know, that if I have any questions, he's there for me, right? He's someone that just reaches out just to see how I'm doing. Hey, everything okay, Kelvin? Awesome, great. You know what I'm saying? So that's the type of person I am. I like to have a relationship with someone that I'm building or I'm learning from, right? So I'll definitely say shout outs to Omar. Thank you so much. You're more than welcome to come over anytime you like. I definitely would love to have you on again for the people that just couldn't make it tonight. I did have this recorded, but I need your permission to be able to put it out to the group. I was thinking YouTube, but I think it should be something personal, just for in the group. But you can let me know offline with your consent, and I'll move forward on that. Definitely again want to thank you again. And I think you had another question here. I don't want to leave it unanswered. Also, can non-US citizens get a policy, or can I buy a policy for them?
Yes, the short answer to that one is yes. Non-US citizens can have coverage as well. They've got to, you know, of course, they've got to provide their documents. You know what I mean? Like, no company is going to insure someone who is a threat to society. I want to be really, really clear on that, because, and that's citizens and non-citizens. So this is not a political thing. It's like, you know, your habits can disqualify you from it. Like, certain charges that you have can disqualify you because you're deemed as more of a risk. Like, if you're moving weight, if you're selling drugs, if you're getting in knife fights, you are a risk. And, you know, Kel, like, that is something that I think a lot of people do not understand is, like, if you are a criminal, you're living a riskier lifestyle. And I'm not casting stones. I'm saying that's how it is in the book that we use to determine, like, yo, is this person insurable? If they have X amount of charges, it's going to impact their insurability. You know what I mean? So that doesn't mean that you should not try. That means that that's a thing and that you should be aware of it. So, and I know that's not really what the question was. There is an underwriting policy. So there is an underwriting process. So with me sharing that there's an underwriting process, my intention is to communicate, you know, it's a privilege to have this. Not everybody can have this. right? But everybody should try to get it when, when the lights come on. You know what I mean? When they start to understand things and start to think outside of themselves. You know what I mean? Like I said, Kelvin, like I'm so proud of you and the progress that you've made and the decisions that you made and continue to make, and from growth. It's just so dope and impressive to me. So that's what it is, man. So I'm happy to help anybody. You guys have my information. If you don't, Kelvin will share it with you, and like, I'm here for you guys. Yeah, I love what you're doing, Kelvin. I mean it. I really, really, really do, and I think it's so dope.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much. If you don't mind, on the chat, or if you, I'll rather put your information out nice and neat. Do you have a business card that you can shoot me over, like a nice little picture or something of that nature, so I can put it out that way, or a digital one?
I will. Yes, I do. I have. Well, I got to blow the dust off this thing. But I'll prepare something for you, and I'll shoot it over to you. And you guys can, you can text me, you can email me, you can. I think text is going to work the best, and I'll get into my Google calendars, and we'll set up a, meeting, and we'll do a consultation. And I will say this: I encourage you, whatever decision you make, look to be decisive. Look for solutions in your thinking, right? And there's no, like, if you have $100,000 in coverage right now, or if you have 50,000, or if you have 250,000, if you're there, and that's rare, like not many people have those that they own and they and that they're aware of, like, be prepared that something else could enhance that. You know what I mean? It's not a, it's not an adversarial thing. The types of coverage that you can have and acquire will complement the other ones for your legacy, for your future, for what you're planning to do. So my encouragement for you, for when we schedule a meeting, be open-minded, and understand that it's a very, very positive thing that you're embarking on.
Gotcha. So if you don't mind, I just didn't want to put your personal phone number out there, but I could personally draft something out there, unless you have like a business line you'd like to give me for them to text. Because there's a lot of people in the group. There's just only 15 people here, but it's about 700 people in this group.
Well, hey, listen, if 700 people are serious about it, like, I mean, I believe in what I do, and
Absolutely.
like, I would only ask that people who are serious about doing this, be about doing something. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
We're adults at this point, and I hope their intention is to protect their family. You know what I mean? No matter how many questions they ask me, action is always going to have more of an impact for what they ultimately want to accomplish. Meaning, whether it's a cash value question or not, it won't matter if you don't do anything. You know what I mean? So if they're willing to do something, like, yo, we'll set up a time and find a solution. If it's just questions, I think you could probably just text me a question, and like, there's also Google that knows more than me. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying that to be rude. I'm saying it to be, to be timely.
Do your due diligence before. What I would say, and I'm gonna say it the Moody way. I'm gonna say it the Moody way, since they know me. What I'm gonna tell you guys basically is Omar saying, hey, if you got some questions, I don't mind if you shoot them over, but make sure that you do your due diligence beforehand. If it's a simple question, you can shoot it over into Google, right? But if you're serious about it, and Moody puts out my phone number, just go ahead and shoot me a call. If I can't answer the call right now, leave me a voice memo, a voice message, and I'll get right back to you, right? Just, we're grown, and we all have kids. We all have a family. Just let's not waste anybody's time. And that's all he wants to say. But my brother's going to say in such a loving, beautiful way, and he's going to love on you and hug you that way, because that's who he is, right? But that's all he's basically trying to let you know.
And very, very well put. I'm happy to help serve you. And if you're serious about protecting your family, you can text me, and you can even call me, but text is going to be the most efficient way to do it, so that we can schedule something, get it rolling, and I can then advise you intimately and specifically, and then we can look to move forward. The benefits that we carry are specifically just made available to union members. So if police officers, firefighters, teachers, groups like that are typically the people that we service, I'm happy to make our programs available to anybody on this call and anybody in the Discord. And based on my relationship with Kev, and I really, really mean that. And I'm excited to see where this goes. I mean it.
Absolutely. Appreciate you.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
My bad. My bad, Moody. Sorry. You said something very important that just struck with me. I wanted to ask you, do you consider, I guess you can call us 811 operators, utility locators, first responders?
Yeah, absolutely. So those are some of the groups that we serve are first responders, firefighters, police officers, dispatchers, even like, longshoremen are not first responders, but people that work on the docks out in Savannah. Like, these are just some of the groups. Electricians, the people who built our wonderful stadiums here, Truist and like it's so interesting, some of the groups that we serve. Like for those of you who live in Atlanta, you see the IBW building on 7585. Well, those are the electricians, and that's a group that we service, and they fill out request forms to have us protect them. You know what I mean? Like, this is what's going on. How can I get this program for my family? So that's the same way that we're going to treat anybody on this call or in the Discord. Just like the Teamsters, which are the truck drivers, and the people that work on the CW, actors have a union. They unionize to get the best benefits. That's the IATSE. The acronyms don't really matter, but those are the actors and the stagehands and the people that build the sets, right? They unionize so that they're treated well. Like, I'm sure you guys have heard of the actors strike in Hollywood, right? And here in Atlanta. Well, we're the ones that provide them their benefits, right? So those are the same benefit programs that you guys would have access to for your family. Also, I'll add this, and I know I've been like, trying to downshift. Any program that you get is going to help. Like, if you set aside, $30, $40, $50 a month, hell, it's going to bring benefit to your family. So sometimes there's sometimes people are a little self-conscious about, I'm trying to figure things out here. You know what I mean? Dog, if you can afford to get fast food, you can afford to make a responsible decision for your family. Yeah. If you can go up in that Wendy's line, if you can go up in that Chick-fil-A line, you can get a decent program for your family. I mean it. And so I want you guys to let go of all of
it. If you got Netflix, you can afford.
If you got Netflix, you know what I mean? You can do something for your family. And again, man, I'm happy to help you guys. I mean it.
Absolutely, man.
I have one question before you go.
Yeah.
I kind of
feel free. Anybody feel free.
Okay, you were saying, how you doing, you were saying that you were saying get an insurance basically that you can't afford. But what if somewhere down the line, when the Lord blesses you, you want to upgrade your policy? Can you upgrade, or do you just have to get a new policy for more money?
So a good way to put it is, all right, a simple way to put it is like the Lord blesses you, let's say 2 years down the line. Well, whenever you apply for that enhancement, it's going to be at that age and that health, right? Is the simple way to put it. Now, there are, like I said, there are many, many, many kinds of insurances and financial vehicles, right? There are. the biggest takeaway I can give for you guys regarding life insurance is do your best and be urgent with doing your best. Like, don't put it off for tomorrow. So Wally, if you're in a place where right now $50 or $100 a month is going to make sense for you, right? Do that. You know what I mean? And like commit to that for yourself and for your family, right? And for the family you may not even have yet. You know what I mean? This is also a broken thought process. It's like, there's so many young people who think, well, man, I don't have anything to protect now. Well, if you had established this policy and you never know where the wind's going to blow. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know if or when you're going to fall in love, or, what responsibilities you may take on. My brother-in-law is, he adopted his child, another brother passed away and left his beautiful children, in the care of a single mom now, you know what I mean? A pastor's wife, So I'm sure when they were entering adulthood, their early 20s, they didn't think that that was going to be a thing. Well, their 30s chapter had a different story for them, so, you can protect that if as well.
I'll say this as well, to Wally. I already had a policy due to my mother, right? My wife had her own policy due to her parents and things of that nature. Well, I'll put it like this. I'm going to have more policies of life insurance as I gain more children, right? So I have premiums already that I pay, but I know, and I am comfortable with having another premium that I will be paying because I know why I'm doing it, right? And not only that, one thing, and this is just personal, and I'm just going to share it with you, Wally, well, everybody that's on here, where I know that I'm going to have another policy, right? The children, of course, for them, but even for me, with what I've done with Omar, and this is just something personal that I'm just going to share with you. Nobody has to share this kind of information with you, but I didn't take upon, and he told me, hey, Moody, you might want to do that, but you know how this goes. You can still get it. But one thing that I love about the company American Income that he's with, but I got to shout out Weatherspoon, that he's with, is that I can choose to pay a little bit more on my premium just for my wife and my family to continue to receive my income once I continue to pass. So the income that I'm making right now, right, with everything that I'm doing and I'm bringing home, I have the opportunity. I didn't take it, right, but I'm still going to go ahead and do it with him. I have the opportunity to make sure that I secure that, right? And that, hey, say tomorrow or whenever that I'm not here no more, not only can they take advantage and full advantage of the opportunities and benefits inside of the policy, right, of the death side, but they can also make sure that life does not change for them. And that's one thing that I'm big on right now, to make sure that I acquire, and I do that for my family, to just make sure that if anything ever happens to me, that just doesn't change, and that will continue to be coming in from that company to my wife's bank account. So that's one thing I'll share with you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys, I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Happy to help. And like I said, anybody, we can set up an appointment and we can get this handled, responsibly. And our company is A+ rated by AM Best, which is the Better Business Bureau of financial services companies. So, we're the insurance company for the Dallas Cowboys, the Texas Rangers. We partnered with the Atlanta Braves. So when you see this globe, right, on those stadiums, that's what it means. And it means financial backing. It means actually Warren Buffett is one of the primary shareholders for the company. So everybody is an investor on this call, And you know, the investment goat essentially is, you know, is whose company this is. So guys, again, I think I'll wrap it up with, I'm happy to help you. I'm going to share my information, and, you know, let's get to it. Let's be better for the people that we love. Let's be better for ourselves. You know what I mean? And excellence is a journey, and it's also a commitment. So we can continue to be better, right? And when we know better, we do better, right? So really, really happy to speak with you guys, and hopefully this was informative. You know, I really appreciate your time. All right.
Thank you so much, Omar. God bless you, brother. You enjoy the rest of your evening with the family, brother. And thank you again. And I'll reach out to schedule something else in the future.
Absolutely. All right. Good night, guys. Take care.
Likewise. All right, y'all. I pray that was very well, let me stop recording.